Hey, once again here joined by Sean Casey, the head teaching professional at the Club Link Academy here at Glen Abbey Golf Club, home of the RBC Canadian Open. And this is the tailor-made swing school here on scoregolf.com. And Sean, we're on the 17th hole at Glen Abbey, and this is one that freaks me out every time I play it because there's a million bunkers here. There's a whole bunch in the fairway, and then when you get to the green, there's a whole bunch here. It's a very well-protected green. You're going to show us some tips on how to get into the sand when you got this tight little sand shot.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of bunkers on this hole. As Jason said, some fairway bunkers, but the green is well surrounded by bunkers as well. So pretty common that you do find yourself in one of these. I'm going to just try to set you up for the shot. Make sure you know how to hit a greenside bunker shot and some of the keys to that, and things that might help you execute the shot. So in terms of the setup, the important thing to make note when you're hitting a greenside bunker shot is that you don't want to hit the ball. So you want to make sure that you're able to splash the sand out and the ball comes out with it. Quite often you'll hear people talk about a dollar bill, imagining that there's a dollar bill that goes from here, surrounds the ball, and the ball is just sitting on that dollar bill. And you're supposed to come in and take out all the sand from here to here. That's not a bad way to kind of visualize it. But again, you're just making sure that you're hitting the sand. The ball is just coming out with the sand. It's almost like it's just a piece of sand. It's all going to fly out and onto the green. So the setup's pretty important. You don't want to put the ball in the middle like most traditional iron shots where you'd come down and actually hit the ball before the ground. You want to put the ball, not supposed to touch the sand, by the way, as a rule, but I'm going to do it for this shoot. You want to imagine that the ball is a little bit forward, up towards that front foot. Okay, so the middle of my stance would be right about here. Okay, and again, that's going to allow me to come in and hit the sand before the golf ball. So a couple of things that are also important here. One is the understanding the bounce of the club and why we open the club face. You always hear people open the face in the sand. Well, why do we do that? Okay, you'll notice that when I open my sand wedge, okay, the leading edge becomes higher than the trailing edge. That's the bounce, and that there's a bounce angle there. This wedge says there's 12 degrees of bounce on this wedge. Okay, when I open it, that increases. There are probably 14, 16, 18, 20 degrees of bounce there now. There's more than I started with. When you're in soft sand, you want to have that bounce. That bounce is what allows the club to go into the sand, but then exit the sand without getting caught up. Okay, it'll allow you to accelerate through the sand. So I am going to open the face here. This feels like relatively soft sand. Okay, so you'll notice in my setup, ball's forward, face is open, which gives me the bounce. You'll notice my setup is fairly neutral. You don't want to get too much this way. Okay, again, that would get rid of the bounce and cause the club to dig in. At times you want to do that if it's really hard sand, but if it's soft sand, a very neutral shaft, so straight up. Okay, and then one thing I want to talk about briefly here in the swing is that when I go through the shot, is that it's very important to turn my body through. And what that does is when I turn through, allows me to hold the face open and not have it flip over and shut again, which would cause it to dig in. So very important as I'm coming through that the face remains open, and I use my body turn to help me keep that face open through the shot. So let's see if we can do it. Dig the feet in for some stability, face open, and then turn through the shot. Okay, so that came out nice and soft, didn't touch the ball. You'll notice my entry point into the sand was right where I drew that back line, okay? The ball was here. I took out all the sand from here to here. The ball just came out on that bed of sand and onto the green.
Well, thanks, Sean. You sort of aged yourself a little bit there by referencing the dollar bill. Just make sure you don't imagine loonies or toonies down there when you're trying to execute the shot. But next time on the Tailor-Made Swing School, we'll investigate how to hit some other tough greenside shots, some pitching, some chipping, and then eventually how to get the ball in the hole.